Hello children, how are you? Hope good. This is Shahab Khan and I'm back with my new ICSE video on my YouTube channel Urban Learning Way UL Way. In the previous video, I had started scene 1 of Act 2 and we had studied the soliloquy of Brutus in which he makes up his mind to act against Caesar. And the reason that he puts forward for this is that Caesar was like a serpent which was not hatched yet. That is, it was still in the egg. But if he became the king, he would be like the serpent which is out of the egg, and as is the nature of serpents, would become dangerous. So it was better to kill Caesar before he became dangerous, as some of the senators had plans to appoint Caesar as the king. So this was the reason, the logic that Brutus used to justify the action that he was going to initiate against Caesar. And this we had studied in the previous video. So let's start the text from where we left in the last video. Enter Lucius. Lucius, the taper burneth in your closet, sir. Searching the window for a flint, I found this paper and thus sealed up, and I'm sure it did not lie there when I went to bed. Gives him a letter. Brutus, get you to bed again. It is not day. Is not tomorrow, boy, the Ides of March? Lucius, I know not, sir. Brutus, look in the calendar and bring me word. I will, sir. Exit. Brutus, the exhalations whizzing in the air give so much light that I may read by them. Open the letter and reads. Brutus, thou sleepest, awake and see thyself, shall roam, etc. Speak, strike, redress. Brutus, thou sleepest, awake. Such instigations have been dropped where I have took them up. Shall roam, etc. This must I piece it out. Shall Rome stand under one man's saw? What room? My ancestors did from the streets of Rome the Tarquin drive when he was called a king. Speak, strike, redress. Am I entreated to speak and strike? O Rome, I make thee promise. If the redress will follow, thou receivest thy full petition at the hand of Brutus. Enter Lucius. So the soliloquy of Brutus comes to an end as Lucius comes back. He says to Brutus that he has lit the candle in his study and gives him a letter. He says that while he was looking for the match or flint on the windowsill, he found a piece of letter which was sealed, and he says that he was sure that it was not there when he had gone to bed. Brutus takes the letter from him and asks him to go back and sleep, as it was not daytime yet. It was not the Ides of March yet. That is, it was not the 15th of March yet. Lucius says that he was not sure about what date it was, and Brutus is still in his confused state of mind. Mind it now, the confusion is becoming clearer, but still, it was in some amount, it was still there. So Brutus asks him, Lucius, to confirm the date. Go and look in the calendar and confirm what date it was. Lucius said that he would do that and exits. Now, Brutus says that the exhalations whizzing in there. This is the figure of speech here is imagery. He has created a very good. These lines create a very good image of the stormy night. The intensity of the night, the energy of the night is all captured in these lines. Okay, so Brutus says that the meteors and the stars moving in the sky are proving enough light for him to read the letter, and he starts reading what was written in the letter. And what was written in the letter? It was written that, Brutus, you are sleeping. It's time for you to wake up and see what you are capable of doing. The problems that Rome was facing is mentioned in the letter. And we have to note here that the word etc. is used to shorten or minimize the whole list of problems that Rome was facing into one very short sentence. Till this far in the play, the audience has been made to understand the problem that Rome was going through and was likely to face in the event of Caesar becoming the king. So there was no need to read it and write it again and again. Okay. So Brutus uses the word etc. to shorten the list of problems. The letter asks Brutus to speak, speak against, strike against, and right the wrongs that have been happening in Rome. The letter again mentions, Brutus, you are sleeping. It's time for you to wake up. Brutus says that he has received other such letters with similar words, with similar instigations or encouragement, as you would like to call it. He has received other such letters, and they have been put in places where he would find them. And he continues to read the letter, which mentions the problems faced by Rome. Again, Shakespeare uses etc. as a shorthand to imply Rome's problem. Brutus was well aware of it, and we very well know that Brutus understood the problems of Rome very well. He was very concerned about Rome, so obviously he understood the problems of Rome very well. And instead of going through the list again, he just glances through the letter, and that is why the word etc. has been used. Now, I will mention here that something which I've done quite a few times in my previous videos, that literature is open to interpretation. I would use the same word that I used in my previous video, that in mathematics a plus b whole square is always going to be a square plus 2ab plus b square, but it's not the same in literature. It's open to interpretation. For example, if someone interprets the word etc. to mean all the actions that Brutus and Rome need to take against Caesar, that would also be perfectly fine. The interpretation has to be relevant to the context. The interpretation has to be relevant to the context, and if someone does it that way, then also it's fine. Okay, I hope you have understood. Brutus says that he should complete the thought process coming from different sources, and he completes it like this. He says, should Rome be under the awe of one man, AWA, awe of one man? That is, should Rome be ruled and controlled by one man only? The same Rome from the streets of which his ancestors had driven Tarquin. The same Rome from where Tarquin was driven by his ancestors when he acted cruelly as a king. Now, a little bit of historical fact here. In 509 BC, a revolt against King Tarquin for something that had happened in his rule during that time. No, I need not mention, you need not know it in detail. If you want, you can search it. An event that happened in his lifetime led to a revolt against him. It was led by Lucius Junius Brutus, and it overthrew not only the king, but the system of kingship as a whole, and led to the establishment of Roman Republic. And we know our Brutus, that is the Brutus of Julius Caesar, is a descendant of Junius Brutus. He is a descendant of Lucius Junius Brutus. Okay. So Brutus reads again and says what is written in the letter, that is, speak, strike, redress. And now he starts to wonder whether the letter was asking him to strike and speak and strike and do things in the same way in which his ancestors had done when they found themselves in a similar situation. He started to wonder whether the letter, all the people he understands that the letters are coming from different sources, although we know that it is coming, all of them have been sent by Cassius only, but he understands that it was coming from different sources, and he starts to wonder whether all the people want him to act in the same way, strike against the system, speak against the system in the same way that his ancestors had done when they found themselves in a similar situation. And Brutus now has finally made up his mind, finally gets into, now the thinking part was over, like, okay, the need to convince oneself of the action was over now. Now these letters convince him to get into action mode soon, and he says that he was making a promise to Rome, to the people of Rome, that if an action from his end, if a strike from his end ensures that the system is restored, if it restores the glory of Rome, then he would definitely do what the people were asking him to do, and he would do it with his own hand. So Brutus has finally decided that he is going to get into action now. We had seen that it took some time for him to convince for the need to act against Caesar, but it didn't take much time. It did not take much time to convince him that an action was imminent and needed to be done, needed to be taken soon. What was the thing that made the final impact, the last impact? It was the tool used by Cassius, and that was the letters written in different handwritings as if they were coming from different sources. Okay, so let's see the figure of speech. That there are quite a few figures of speech in the passage that we have studied. Okay, the exhalations whizzing in the air give so much light. Now, as I said, only this is imagery. Okay, a vivid visual image has been created. All the intensity, all the brightness, all the buzz in the air, all those, it's not normal. And when the night is normal, we generally expect it to be a stormy only. So a stormy, vivid imagery of Vivid visual imagery of a stormy night with flashes of night lightning has been created by this lines, these lines. Okay. O Rome, O Rome, I make thee promise. Now, what is the figure of speech here? The figure of speech here is apostrophe. Now, what is apostrophe? Apostrophe is a figure of speech when someone or something, is addressed, or the speaker addresses someone or something who is not physically present on the scene, or it's like an abstract idea, or thing is addressed as if it were alive and would be able to respond. So this is apostrophe. Thou receivest thy full petition. Rome is being addressed. Brutus is addressing Rome. Rome is being addressed. So Rome has been given human qualities here, as if it is something that would receive petitions, and something that would, promises are being made to it as if it was a human. As if it were, the promises are being made to it as if Rome were a human being. Okay, so there's personification we can see. Shall Rome stand under one man's awe? Now, what is this? This is a rhetorical question. This is a rhetorical question. Okay, Brutus does not expect anyone to answer him. It is only his inner feelings, and it is only the inner feelings of his heart, and his sense of patriotism that is being expressed through this line. He does not expect an answer. So this is a rhetorical question. Then, my ancestors did from the street of Rome the Tarquin drive when he was called a king. Now, this is a reference to a historical event that had happened in the past, and so this is allusion. Okay, and then also this is symbolism, because the king Tarquin is a symbol of tyranny in these lines. Tarquin is a symbol of tyranny. When Brutus mentions Tarquin, he is a symbol of tyranny for him. So here you have both allusion and symbolism. So let's just continue. Enter Lucius. Lucius, sir, March is wasted 15 days. 'Tis good. Go to the gate. Somebody knocks. Since Cassius first did wet me against Caesar, I have not slept. Between the acting of a dreadful thing and the first motion, all the interim is like a phantasma or a hideous dream. The genius and the mortal instruments are then in council, and the state of man, like to a little kingdom, suffers then the nature of an insurrection. Lucius comes back, and Brutus stops reading the letter. Lucius says that 15 days of March have passed. Okay, that means it was 15th of March, right? And then there's a knocking heard in the background. Brutus says it was okay and asks him to go to the gate as someone was knocking. Lucius exits, and now Brutus starts talking to himself. He says, since the time when Cassius had started to instigate him against Caesar, he has not slept well. He has not slept at all. He has not slept since the time when Cassius started to instigate him against Caesar. Brutus says that the time period between when something is conceptualized. Now, this something is something great or something terrible also. Like, something is going to have a lasting effect. Okay, it's not the normal something. So, when something is conceptualized and the time when it is actually executed, the interim time period is very unreal, or it looks like, or it is like a nightmare. It's very unreal and is like a nightmare. He says that the mind and physicality of the person are in constant communication with each other, and pondering over so many questions. They are thinking about, they are communicating with each other and discussing so many things. He says that the mind becomes like a little kingdom which suffers a great deal of physical and mental pain because of the conflict and communication that is happening. Okay, the conflict and communication between the physical body and the mental part of the body, the spiritual part of the body. Okay, so that makes the this thing very sort of unpleasant in a way, sort of very disturbing for the person. Better way to describe it is very disturbing for the person, and because Brutus is disturbed, he cannot sleep. It is like a conspiracy of the curious mind. There are many figures of speech, but it's like a simile. Okay, there's one figure of speech that I would like to mention. The genius and moral instruments are then in council. Here again it is personification, because genius, which is the mind and the spirit, and the mortal instrument, which is the body part. So this is personification only. Okay, so that ends the part when Brutus makes up his mind to act against Caesar and makes up his mind that it was time to take action. So that's it, children. I hope you have understood the things well. If you have any doubts, you can post it in the comment section. Keep watching, keep liking, keep subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching the video.